Hello, good evening, and welcome back. White lives don't matter. Signs appears in Canadian city. Media ignores. The poster says it's okay to hate white people. This is from Summit News, Paul Joseph Watson's website, of course. And they have images here posted on Twitter depicting white lives don't matter. It's okay to hate white people. Racism against whites doesn't exist. Which, of course, is propagating the myth that we've heard over and over and over again. And the newer definition, of course, is to say that racism is power plus prejudice. And I'm sick of this shit because the idea is, us minorities, we're victims. It's like, well, for a start, depending on where you're fucking looking, you're not minorities, so you can fuck off with that. And that you're saying, so you don't have any power. Well, have you looked at who's in charge and like look at the cabinet? Given that, well, if you want to know who's in charge, then look at who you can't fucking mock. But more than that, right, so if people are appointed to positions and they're the best in the job and therefore they've been awarded their position by meritocracy because they're going to do the best at it compared to anybody else, and they happen to be white, then, it's racism and this is terrible and you can't have that. You've got to make it more diverse. Not diverse of thought. No, who'd have fucking thought? No. We can't have people who disagree with us. What the fuck are you talking about? No. We have to have different skin colour because skin colour is far more important than what people actually fucking think. And this is really getting on my tits. That, given that they're saying that, it's so racist, such a racist country. And yeah, you know the West, these countries that are indigenously white and have been for hundreds of years. These countries that have revolutionized the world and made life better and easier and more successful, fulfilling for everyone. Yeah, those countries are actually fucking racist. Those countries that these ethnic minorities keep moving to because they're guaranteed a much better life than the shithole countries they're from, and therefore choose to move to the fucking Western countries. Yeah, they're racist. Yeah, and it's such a shit life here. It's so bad that it still isn't bad enough to actually move back to the countries which have a greater concentration of their own ethnicities. Yeah, this country which is so evil is still so much better than the shitholes they're from. So, okay, I'll grant you, England is an awful racist country that treats you awfully. How the fuck is a country that treats you awfully better than the country you're from? Are you suggesting that even with all our racism, evil and horrible attitudes towards you, that you still have a better quality of life than you do in the shithole country you're from? Because if you're saying that, it almost suggests that if we adopt your views, our country is going to tank considerably and be utter shit and going to end up like the country you came from. Why the fuck are you leaving an awful place in order to make the new better place as awful as the one you came from? This isn't just a matter of countries. This has happened over the past century predominantly, of people from rural areas moving to urban areas, people moving into the city for a better quality of life. When those people did that, did they go to the cities with the industries and the factories and go, why haven't you got farms here? We should get rid of all these buildings and replace it with farms. No, of course not. And you want to know why? It's because when people were on farms, they were just living a subsistent lifestyle and had to work from dawn till dusk every day, very demanding, very labour intensive, and fuck themselves over, damage their bodies, their backs, their bones, their muscles, and all that. So they had to retire early on. I say retire, they just meant that their families took care of them. What actual retirement means instead of fucking state pensions, which is so fucking unreliable. Your family is a much better source of actually taking care of you into what you need instead of just, here's a lump sum that you probably won't even get. But they moved away from the farms to move to the cities. And some would say, like in other countries, what about sweatshops? Isn't this like slave labour, such awful working conditions? It's like, well, actually, fucking no. For the same reason, you've got the racial or ethnic slur in America over redneck. What does redneck mean? It means a sunburnt neck because they're out in the fields, they're not as refined or as better paid as people who are working indoors. The same goes for the countries like China, where still they're moving away from the farms to move into the city, to move into the so-called sweatshop conditions because it's better than they would have in being back on their farm. The same goes for England in years gone by, that they have a better quality of life being in the city than they do on the farm. So, seeing as they're moving to a better place, they're enjoying the better lifestyle, even if they have to start at the bottom and work their way up. And then, of course, there's some class warfare to say, we don't want you country yoiks, moving here and trying to change our way of life. No, they actually work their way up. And of course, you've got different racism or xenophobia, whatever you will, from people who are different from their own. That's just tribal. That's why in England you've got so many different bloody accents because of the different cultures where people grew up. And yet we try to amalgamate together and say, well, if you can make it work, then you deserve the spot. But this fucking cultural Marxist ideology has come in to try and turn everything over and ruin it. Everything that made this country great, they want to go, yeah, that's a bit utter shit though, isn't it? They go, oh, because you created slavery. It's like, yeah, we also abolished it and we've only finished paying for it in 2014. So even people like me and people like you, because we've been paying taxes for so many years, we've actually been contributing to paying off the slavery debts. So go fucking figure and fuck right. But given that, as I say, it's such a racist country, white people rule everything, when you have posters saying white lives don't matter and it's okay to hate white people, you would have thought, oh, they're going to come down with a fist on this, seeing as they love pictures of fists, going to come down with a fist and incriminate these people and, yeah, take them down and beat the living shit out of them, yeah. Well, that doesn't happen at all, does it? No, of course it fucking doesn't. Because there's so much cognitive dissonance to try and suggest, oh, white people are evil and they clearly hate everybody else. It's like, well, why the fuck don't they act on this ever? They really fucking don't. And then you try and bring up some examples. Like, oh, what about Trayvon Martin when he was shot when he was unarmed? Oh my god. It's like, no, he wasn't. He was resisting arrest and going for a gun. Oh no, that really destroys the narrative, doesn't it? Oh, that's a bit shit. And then like, in the UK, when they try to say, oh, Black Lives Matter, we got to have this movement over here. It's like, well, a higher proportion of white people die under police custody than black people. What's your fucking point? And saying, oh, you know, there's people who live near airports, so it's easier access for going to a different country. Yeah, that's racist because of noise. It's like, hang on, didn't these people choose to move there? And it's better connected for international travel? Yes. They chose to move there. Yes, they did. But it's racist. Yes, it is racist. Oh, I see. So their own choice is racist, so they decide their own racist destiny? They're a bit stupid then, aren't they? No, they're not. You're not making any sense here, dude. But we can't accept logic of a leftist. So, in Kitchener, they say racist signs that say white lives don't matter and other racial slurs were posted in the Canadian city of Kitchener, but received no media coverage whatsoever. Oh, such a huge disconnect. One of the posters featured an image of Jesus Christ being crucified along with the words white lives don't matter in capital letters. Another sign says it's okay to hate white people and racism against whites doesn't exist. That sign also features a logo for Kitchener Waterloo against fascism, as we can see in the images here. It comes back to the old phrase, doesn't it? At least for Britain. I know this is not Britain, obviously. But, nonetheless, to say that British people are slow to anger, but impossible to stop once they've been riled. And it's the same here. That, as Peterson has mentioned before as well, that you don't want to get into identity politics with the right. If the right embrace identity politics, the left are fucked. Really, completely fucked. Because there is a difference in ideology which is integral if you wish to make things physical. The left, they have the appeal to authority. If anything goes wrong, they get someone else in charge to come down and try and deal with it, so they lose all responsibility themselves. So they develop no skills whatsoever, they just think somebody else will take charge of it. So if they go to a fight, they've got literally nothing except an overinflated ego. The right, on the other hand, they believe in personal responsibility. They think if something happens, it's up to them to sort it out. They think that if they're in a bad situation, they have to figure out a way to improve their situation. They think that if they're in a physically inferior position, then they have to train, work on themselves, and able to better themselves to give a better fight next time. What does this mean? It means the left are complete utter pussies who have no idea how to throw a punch or take a punch, which is far more important considering they're going up against the right wing, who have trained for years and years and years, understand their own physical strengths, their own physical weaknesses, and also, dare I say, their emotional strengths and weaknesses as people. And therefore, they have trained, they know what they're doing. And if you want to try and cause a fight between the right and the left, and you wish to get in brute force and say, white lives don't matter, it's okay to hate white people, and you're showing imagery of a fist, you are going to clash. And you want to know what happens when somebody who doesn't know how to fight but is provocative meets up with somebody who does know how to fight and is actually willing to defend themselves and their homeland. Well, it's a pretty brutal annihilation. And if that's how you want this all to end, then hey, us, the right, we're going to keep training, and we are willing to defend ourselves and the people we care about. Oh yeah, yeah. You can call us misogynistic and whatever other bloody slurs you want to call us, patriarchal if you will. But when we have family, girlfriends, wives, children, the people that we love, the people that we care about, if you come after any of us, not just us, but the people we love and care about, we will come after you with a vengeance. That is a guarantee. So we're not going to start a fight, but if you start the fight, we will finish it, and I guarantee that. So if that's how you want to end your movement, by being annihilated and obliterated and end up in hospitals, then by all means go ahead. But I do not think that's a smart idea. I think it's far better to take a step back, take a deep breath, think, okay, let's assess the situation. Is it actually a good idea to be so inflammatory when we don't know how to defend ourselves? Is this actually an accurate representation of the facts, given the amount of courages, the amount of leniency, the amount of police turning the blind eye to ethnic minorities committing crimes and taking advantage of the system? No, I don't think it is. So maybe take a step back, analyse, realise what you're doing wrong, and then move forward with a more accurate view of the world. Because if you do move forward being this antagonistic, this ignorant, and this violently offensive, as we know the left causes fights, even Bernie can't contain his own supporters, then I guarantee you that once you actually enrage a right-wing group, they will take you out. Just hope that they are grapplers instead of strikers. If they are strikers, they will knock you the fuck out, and they might permanently damage you or kill you. If they are grapplers, they will straddle you, take hold of you, subdue you, choke you out, you'll pass out for a few seconds, then you'll regain consciousness. If you're still fighting, they'll choke you out again, you'll come back, choke you out again, and so on, until the police arrive, and then they can talk to them, make it all go over very nicely, very calmly, and you will be taken away without any permanent damage whatsoever. So if I were you, I would hope that the people you go up against are trained in grappling and wrestling and jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, that type of thing, because then you won't be permanently damaged. But if you go against someone who's just a street brawler, you're fucked. Simple as that. So, going forward, I would advise everybody to get more into self-defense, whatever self-defense you wish. Understand your own body, your own limitations, and what other people can do to you as well. Train. Be confident within yourself. Be calm and rational, so that if anybody is antagonistic or says something you don't like, you can still retain your calmness. Talk to them in a rational manner, and if they wish to escalate it, you can respond in turn without having to hurt them, and you can subdue them with no damage caused, but you are in control of the situation. So that is what I would recommend. And the fighting, especially if you're doing one-on-one, and the sparring, grappling, wrestling, whatever it is important, because then you will be knocked out, or you'll be choked out, you'll have to tap out, whatever it might be. And so you also develop that humility when it comes to other people, so you're not there causing a fight either. I think that's what we need more of. We need people who are competent and able to fight, but know their limitations, and therefore don't unless absolutely necessary. I'm not looking for people to cause a lot of fights. I'm looking for people to step back, cool off, and have a rational mind as they move forward. Because they know that if they just lash out emotionally and aren't thinking of things, then they will be taken hold of, they will be choked out until they tap out or the police arrive. So until next time, stay safe and keep training.